Good morning, my dear students. Welcome to another video on Arms and the Man. So we have been reading this text and I'm making a series of videos for you to understand this particular play. And in the last video, I was reading on my own a part of Act 1. So today we have my lovely husband, Chad Haig, with us, who will help me read this particular play to you. He will be reading the male voices and I'll be reading the female characters. All good?
That sounds great, dude.
Okay. So let us pick up where we left it. So the last time we read it, a strange man had entered Raina's bedroom. Now Raina is getting very panicked. Okay. Who's there? Who's there? Who's that?
Shh. Don't call out, or you'll be shot. Be good and no harm will happen to you. Take care, it's no use trying to run away.
But who?
Remember, if you raise your voice, my revolver goes off. Strike a light and let me see you. Do you hear?
Okay. I'm going to read the stage directions to you. Another moment of silence and darkness as she retreats to the chest of drawers. Then she lights a candle and the mystery is at an end. He is a man of about 35, in a deplorable plight, bespattered with mud and blood and snow. His belt and the strap of his revolver case keeping together the torn ruins of the blue tunic of a Serbian artillery officer. All that the candlelight and his unwashed, unkempt condition make it possible to discern is that he is of middling stature, an undistinguished appearance, with strong neck and shoulders, roundish, obstinate-looking head covered with short, crisp bronze curls, clear, quick eyes and good brows and mouth, hopelessly prosaic nose like that of a strong-minded baby, trim, soldier-like carriage and energetic manner, and with all his wits about him in spite of his desperate predicament. Even with a sense of humor of it, without, however, the least intention of trifling with it or throwing away a chance. Reckoning up what he can guess of Raina, her age, her social position, her character, and the extent to which she is frightened, he continues more politely but still most determinedly.
Excuse my disturbing you, but you recognize my uniform? Sir, if I'm caught, I should be killed. You understand that?
Yes.
Well, I don't intend to get killed if I can help it. You understand that?
I suppose not. Some soldiers, I know, are afraid to die.
All of them, dear lady. All of them, believe me. It is our duty to live as long as we can. Now, if you raise an alarm...
So, we have just read a portion of Act 1 with my husband. So, I hope you were able to follow it. And here I have provided you some table of information about the events and the important dialogues and the interpretation of these things. So, first of all, how would you feel if a strange man comes into your room in the middle of the night? That too at a very scary situation. ലൈക്ക് നിങ്ങളുടെ റൂമിൽ പെട്ടെന്ന് ഒരാൾ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അറിയാത്തൊരു സ്ട്രേഞ്ചർ ഒരു വാർ സിറ്റുവേഷനിൽ കയറി വരുന്ന സമയത്ത് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എന്ത് തോന്നും? അത് തന്നെയാണ് റൈനയ്ക്കും തോന്നുന്നത്. റൈന ഈസ് നൗ ടെറിഫൈഡ്. മോർ ഓവർ in the last video we discussed how he actually lighted a match and held it up to his face. So just imagine that situation. A girl is alone in her room and she has realized that someone else has come into her room, and all of a sudden he is striking a match too. So overall this is actually a very menacing situation. Now Raina demands to know who the intruder is. She asks, who's there? She's very panicked now. But even then, she musters up some courage and she asks, who is there? Who has come into my room? And then what does he say? He says, shh, if you call out, you will be shot. That means that he has a revolver with him. And if she creates some kind of noise or makes an alarm, she will be shot. So this is actually very tense situation. We can see that the dramatic complication is actually rising and rising. Next thing he demands her is to light a candle so he can see her. So he asks her, strike a light and let me see you, do you hear? So അയാൾ എന്ത് തരത്തിലുള്ള സിറ്റുവേഷനിലാണ് വന്നിരിക്കുന്നതെന്ന് അറിയാൻ അയാൾക്ക് താല്പര്യമുണ്ടാവും. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് അയാൾ ക്യാൻഡിൽ കത്തിക്കാൻ പറയുന്നത്, ഒരു അവിടെ വിളക്ക് കത്തിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി പറയുന്നത്. So he really wants to know in what room or what circumstance he has landed himself in. So he wants to get more information about his whereabouts now. That is why he asked her to strike a light. And the moment they see each other is very crucial. So when she lights, actually, why did he ask her to light the light, strike a light? So that he could see her and her surroundings. But the thing with light is, when the light is lit, she can also see him. അവൻ അവളെ മാത്രമല്ല കാണുന്നത്, അവൾക്ക് അവനെയും കാണാനുള്ള ഒരു അവസരമാണ് ഇപ്പം ലഭിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്. സോ വി ഓൾസോ ആസ് viewers, as spectators, we also come to know about this man. He looks about 35. He is in a very deplorable state. He is wearing a blue Serbian artillery officer uniform. The uniform is splattered with mud, blood and snow. That says that he has been on the run for a while. ചെളിയൊക്കെ പറ്റുക എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അയാൾ കുറേ ദിവസങ്ങളായി, മേ ബി 2 days ആയിട്ട് അയാൾ ഓടിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. മേ ബി ഹി പാസ്ഡ് ദ മൗണ്ടൻ പാസസ് ആൻഡ് ഓൾ. സോ ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് വൈ ഹി ഹാസ് സ്നോ on his uniform. Moreover, there's also blood, maybe his own blood, maybe the blood of others. And then he's not a bad looking man. He is of medium height. He seems to have muscular neck and shoulders. He has bronze colored curly hair. He has very good features overall. Like it says here that he has very quick eyes, clear eyes. He has good brows and mouth, and his nose is very particular. His nose makes him feel like he's a baby. ഒരു വളരെ ജെന്റിൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ളൊരു ക്യാരക്ടറിസ്റ്റിക് ആണ് അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ. ഹി ഹാസ് എ ഹോപ്പ്ലെസ്ലി prosaic nose, that of a strong minded baby. But other mannerisms are actually like a soldier, because he's very energetic. He carries himself like a soldier. He walks like a soldier. And just looking at him, she judges that he might even be witty. He might even possess a sense of humor, a good sense of humor. Just looking at the man, she is getting all these information about him. At the same time, he is also looking at her. He is judging Raina of her age. ആദ്യമായിട്ടൊരു പെൺകുട്ടിയെ കണ്ടു, എത്ര വയസ്സൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാവുമെന്ന് കാഴ്ചയിലൊക്കെ ഒന്ന് കണ്ട് ഒന്ന് ജഡ്ജ് ചെയ്തു. Again, he looks around in the room, looks at the pretty and expensive things in the room and judges her social position. She might be from a well-off family, from a rich upper class family. Then he judges her character. How is she acting at this point of time when an intruder comes into her room? And he is also judging her by the extent of her fear. എത്രത്തോളം അവൾ ഭയപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ എന്നുള്ളതും അയാൾ ജഡ്ജ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. So here a very important moment is happening. The man and the woman, they get to look at each other for the first time. So here a gaze is passing back and forth. രണ്ടുപേരും പരസ്പരം നോക്കുന്നു. ഗെയ്സ്. ദിസ് ഗെയ്സ് ഇസ് എ വെരി പവർഫുൾ entity. So if you are looking at some person, it is a very active process. You are looking, but you are also being looked at. So gaze is actually a two-way process. അതായത് ഒരിക്കലും ഒരാളും അവിടെ പാസീവ് അല്ല. ഓൾസോ ഗേസ് ഹോൾഡ്സ് എ ലോട്ട് ഓഫ് പവർ. ജസ്റ്റ് ഇമാജിൻ യുവർ സെൽഫ് ഇൻ എ പെർട്ടിക്കുലർ സിറ്റുവേഷൻ വേർ someone is actually staring at you. They are looking at you on, and you are not looking at them. You are looking to the ground. What does it say about you? That you are actually powerless in this situation. The person who holds the gaze is actually the powerful one in a particular situation. So in this situation, Raina is looking at her, the man is looking at him, and the man is looking at Raina. Both of them are looking at each other. So we can say that the power dynamics is more or less equal. Even though the intruder has a revolver, they both are actually at the same power position here. None of them is actually superior or inferior to each other. So gaze, I told you, it is actually a very active process. It is a two-way process. You are not just looking, you are being looked at too. Also, it is actually a process in which you can gather information. You can form judgments about each other, and using these information and judgments, you can move towards action. So it is two-way. It is not just getting information, but you are also giving out information about yourself. So this particular moment where Raina and the man look at each other, it is a very dramatic situation in the play we are learning. So then what happens? The man actually threatens Reina. He points at her, at his uniform. So what is he wearing again? A blue Serbian artillery officer tunic. That is what he is wearing. So he points at his own uniform and he says that I am Serb. He doesn't say that I am Serb. He points at the uniform and says that Serb. If I am caught, I shall be killed. Do you understand that? So he's actually threatening her that I belong to the Serbian army. He's actually trying to intimidate her. She's already frightened, but he's frightening her further so that she wouldn't cause an alarm. Then what he says is, if I am caught, I shall be killed. If someone catches me, they will kill me in this very room. Do you understand that? Now, Raina says yes. And the man, this stranger, this soldier who belongs to the Serbian army, he says that I don't intend to get killed if I can help it. Trust me, I am afraid to die. I don't want to die today. I don't intend to get killed. Now, Raina gets a little bit surprised and irritated because, according to her, soldiers are men who are ready to die at any moment. But here she is surprised a little because here she sees a soldier who's fearing death. Now, she had this romantic illusion that a soldier is very heroic and he doesn't care about life or death and all. But her romantic illusion about war starts to get shattered here. And Raina says, no, some soldiers I know are afraid to die. Okay, I haven't seen a soldier like you. So now I see that some soldiers are indeed afraid to die. Now the man actually surprises her, saying that all of the soldiers are afraid of death. ആദ്യമായിട്ടാണ് ഒരു സോൾജറിന്റെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു മാനിന്റെ വായിൽ നിന്ന് ഒരു ആണിന്റെ വായിൽ നിന്ന് റൈന കേൾക്കുന്നത് എല്ലാ സോൾജേഴ്സിനും മരിക്കാൻ ഭയമാണ്. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് our duty to live as long as we can, but you shouldn't raise an alarm. So that is what he establishes there. Now Raina's illusion about the heroism of the soldier is more or less shattered at this point. You will shoot me. How do you know that I am afraid to die?
But suppose I don't shoot you. What will happen then? A lot of your cavalry will burst into this pretty room of yours and slaughter me here like a pig, for I will fight like a demon. They shan't get me into the street to amuse themselves with. I know what they are. Are you prepared to receive that sort of company in your present undress?
Oh my God. Raina, suddenly conscious of her nightgown, instinctively shrinks and gathers it more closely around her neck. He watches her and acts pitilessly.
Hardly presentable, eh?
She turns to the Ottoman. He raises his pistol instantly and cries,
Stop! Where are you going?
Only to get my cloak.
A good idea. I'll keep that cloak and you'll take care that nobody comes in and sees you without it. This is a better weapon than the revolver, eh?
He throws the pistol down on the Ottoman. It is not the weapon of a gentleman.
It's good enough for a man with only you to stand between him and death.
As they look at one another for a moment, Raina hardly able to believe that even a Serbian officer can be so cynically and selfishly unchivalrous. They are startled by a sharp fusillade in the street. The chill of imminent death hushes the man's voice as he adds,
You hear? If you're going to bring those blackguards in on me, you shall receive them as you are.
Now, the first thing the man threatens Reina with is that if she creates an alarm, he has a revolver, he will shoot her. Now, she is actually quite frightened at this moment. And then he paints a really bloody picture, a very gory picture of him being slaughtered by the Bulgarian army if they find him there. So the man says that എന്നെ ഞാനിപ്പം നിന്നെ ഷൂട്ട് ചെയ്തില്ലെങ്കിൽ എന്ത് സംഭവിക്കും? ഞാനിവിടെ ഉണ്ടെന്നറിഞ്ഞ് ബൾഗേറിയൻ ആർമി എല്ലാം കൂടെ നിന്റെ ഈ മുറിയിലോട്ട് ഇരച്ചു കയറും ആൻഡ് ദേ വിൽ സ്ലോട്ടർ മീ ലൈക്ക് എ പിഗ് ഇൻ യോർ റൂം ഇഫ് ദേ ഫൈൻഡ് മീ ഇൻ യോർ റൂം ആൻഡ് ഐ എം നോട്ട് സമ്മൺ ഹൂ വിൽ ഗോ വിത്തൗട്ട് എ battle, without a fight. I will also fight like a demon. And they won't kill me like an animal in the street. I will die in your very room. And are you prepared to see such a sight, or such a gory and bloody death in your room? Moreover, I see that you are not wearing much. You are just in your flimsy nightgown. നീ പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് കാര്യമായിട്ടൊന്നും ധരിച്ചിട്ടില്ല, വളരെ ഫ്ലിംസി ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു നൈറ്റ് ഗൗൺ മാത്രമേ ഇട്ടിട്ടുള്ളൂ. യു ആർ എൻ അൺഡ്രസ് നൗ, സോ യു ആർ ഹാർഡ്ലി പ്രസന്റബിൾ നൗ. മനുഷ്യരുടെ മുന്നിലൊന്നും പോകാൻ പറ്റുന്ന രൂപത്തിലല്ല ഇപ്പം നീ നിൽക്കുന്നത്. And are you ready to receive these drunk soldiers into your bedroom with the way you are dressed now? Now, this is very shocking for Raina. According to her, soldiers are very chivalrous. They will be very dutiful towards women. സ്ത്രീകൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി വളരെ അവർക്ക് എന്ത് സേവനങ്ങളും ചെയ്യാൻ നടക്കുന്ന ഒരാളാണ് ഒരു സോൾജർ എന്നായിരുന്നു റൈന വിചാരിച്ചിരുന്നത്. ബട്ട് ദിസ് ഇസ് വെരി ഷോക്കിംഗ് ഫോർ റൈന ബിക്കോസ് റൈന ഡസൻ റിയലൈസ് അണ്ടിൽ ദാറ്റ് മോമെന്റ് ദാറ്റ് ഷീ ഈസ് ഡ്രസ്ഡ് ഇൻ എ ഫ്ലിംസി നൈറ്റ് ഗൗൺ ആൻഡ് ഹീ ക്വിക്ലി ജംപ്സ് ആൻഡ് ഗെറ്റ്സ് ഹെർ ക്ലോക്ക്, her fur coat. Now she's really like കഴുത്തിൻ്റെ അവിടെയൊക്കെ ഇങ്ങനെ മറച്ചു പിടിക്കാനൊക്കെ പുള്ളിക്കാരി നോക്കുന്നു. And Raina tries to get the coat, but he passes swiftly to the ottoman. This is why I told you that ottoman is a very famous, a very important piece of furniture in that room. It was on the ottoman stool that Raina put her fur cloak. So the man rushes to the ottoman and he grabs the cloak and he says that this is a good idea. I don't even need any other weapon. I'll just keep the cloak. ഞാൻ ഈ കോട്ട് കൈ വെച്ചോളാം, എനിക്ക് തോക്കിൻ്റെ ആവശ്യമില്ല. ഈ കോട്ട് എൻ്റെ കയ്യിലിരിക്കുന്നിടത്തോളം കാലം നീ വേറൊരാളെ ഈ റൂമിനകത്തോട്ട് കയറ്റത്തില്ല, കാരണം നീ അത്യാവശ്യത്തിന് വസ്ത്രങ്ങളൊന്നും ധരിച്ചിട്ടില്ല. So this is he says something very scandalous to Raina's ears. He says that this is a better weapon than the revolver. So I don't even need the revolver now. I have your coat. So this is a better weapon than the revolver. Now Raina is very shocked. Raina says that it is not the weapon of a gentleman. If you're a gentleman, you will give me back my cloak. Now the man says that it is good enough for a man with only you to stand between him and death. Between me and my death, there is only one person, that is you. And as long as I have the cloak, you won't open the door to anybody else. Now, while this is going on, while they are talking, another complication comes. There is a series of shots from the streets. It is actually quite close now. They are startled. രണ്ടുപേരും സംസാരിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നതിനിടയിൽ പെട്ടെന്ന് ഒരുപാട് വെടിയൊച്ചകൾ വളരെ അടുത്തായിട്ട് കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. This is actually a fusillade now. A series of shots happen in the streets while this is going on. Okay, let's stop here and read the rest of the portions.
Clamor and disturbance. The pursuers on the street batter at the house door, shouting, "Open that door! Open that door! Wake up, will you?" A man's servant's voice calls to them angrily from within. "This is Major Petkoff's house. You can't come in here." But a renewal of this clamor and a torrent of blows on the door and of heavy footsteps and a dim of triumphant yells, dominated at last by the voice of Catherine, indignantly addressing an officer with, "What does this mean, sir? Do you know where you are?" The noise subsides suddenly.
Lauka comes in. She's banging it um, Raina's door. My lady, get up quick and open the door. If you don't, they will break it down. The fugitive throws up his head with the gesture of a man who sees that it is all over with him and drops the manner he has been assuming to intimidate Raina.
No use, dear. I'm done for. Quick, wrap yourself up. They're coming.
Oh, thank you.
Don't mention it.
What will you do?
The first man in will find out. Keep out of the way and don't look it. It won't last long, but it will not be nice.
I'll help you. I'll save you.
You can't.
I can. I'll hide you. Here, behind the curtains.
There's just a half chance if you keep your head.
Shh.
Remember,
Yes.
9 soldiers out of 10 are born fools.
Oh.
If they find me, I promise you a fight. A devil of a fight.
She stamps at him. He disappears hastily. She takes off her cloak and throws it across the foot of the bed. Then, with a sleepy, disturbed air, she opens the door. Lauka enters excitedly. So, in the last part that we discussed, we saw that Raina and the man had their first encounter with each other. They look at each other. The man threatens Reina, threatens that she will be shot if she creates an alarm. He has a revolver. He wears the uniform of the Serbian artillery officer. And now, when she rushes to get her fur cloak, he actually grabs the fur cloak from the Ottoman. And I forgot to mention something earlier. When he grabs the fur cloak, he actually throws his revolver on the Ottoman. അപ്പോൾ ഫർ ക്ലോക്ക് ഓട്ടമനിൽ നിന്ന് എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇയാളുടെ കയ്യിലുള്ള റിവോൾവർ ഇയാൾ ഓട്ടമനിലേക്ക് ഇട്ടു എന്നിട്ട് പറയാണ് ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് ദിസ് ക്ലോക്ക് ഇസ് എ മച്ച് ബെറ്റർ വെപ്പൺ ദാൻ ദ റിവോൾവർ at this particular circumstance. So that is actually of prime importance. That incident where he throws the revolver onto the Ottoman, it will come in handy later. Its significance will be revealed later. Okay. So while they are talking, we said that there is a fusillade outside. There is a series of shots being fired in the streets. There is clamor and disturbance outside. A lot of noise is made outside their house. And somebody is demanding the house of the Petkovs to be opened. അപ്പോൾ ഇവരുടെ വീട് പെറ്റ്കോഫ് ഹൗസിന്റെ ഡോറ് തുറക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി ആരോ വളരെ ഒച്ചത്തിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ സംസാരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഹൂ വിൽ ബി ദിസ്? Probably Bulgarian army itself. They want to see if somebody has come into the house. And we also hear a manservant's voice saying, this is Major Petkov's house. You can't come into this house. ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു വീട്ടിൽ കയറി വരുന്നത് പോലെ ഈ വീട്ടിലൊന്നും കയറി വരാൻ പറ്റത്തില്ല. ഇത് മേജർ പെറ്റ്കോഫിന്റെ വീടാണ്. But the army, they are very adamant that they have to enter the house and they have to search the house. So we can see here that the Bulgarian army has finally come in search of the fugitives. And yeah, we hear the manservant saying this is Major Petkov's house. So he's actually claiming privileges that they belong to the army. They are an army family and they are also an upper class family. So you can't barge into the house and arrest or search anywhere. So at this point of time, we hear Lauka, the maid. She is knocking on Raina's door. She requests that the door should be opened. And if it is not opened, the army will come into the house and they will break the door down. So Lauka is outside the bedroom door. She's knocking. She says that the army will be here soon. Now, what the fugitive does, what the man does actually surprises us. He gives up. അയാൾ അതുവരെ കാണിച്ചിരുന്ന ധൈര്യവും റൈനെ പേടിപ്പിച്ച് വെച്ചിരുന്നത് പോലെയൊന്നുമല്ല. അയാൾ ഫൈനലി ഈ ലൗക്ക വന്ന് തട്ടുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് അയാൾ ചെയ്യുന്നത് എന്താന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ he gives Raina back her fur cloak and says that quick, you wrap yourself up. The army is coming. I don't really want them to see you in a transparent night gown. So you just wrap yourself up. And Raina is very relieved because all this while she's been wearing a very flimsy nightgown in front of a stranger. So she is very relieved. Oh, thank you so much. And the man says, oh, don't mention it. But Raina is now anxious about the plight of the man. What is going to happen to the man after this? Now, she anxiously asks, what will you do? And the man says, I will probably kill the first man in. ആദ്യം ഈ റൂമിനകത്ത് കയറുന്നവനെ ഞാൻ എന്തായാലും കൊല്ലും. And he has a weapon. He has a saber. ചെറിയൊരു sword ഉണ്ട്. And then you have to keep out of the way. The man tells Reina, you shouldn't look because it will be very violent for a lady to look at. And it won't be long. They will kill me very fast and it will not be nice to look at. So please don't look. Now Reina is feeling very sorry for this enemy soldier. She says that I'll help you. I'll save you. And the man says, you can't save me, lady. Raina says, I will save you because I can hide you. So she has large curtains in her room. She asks the man to hide behind the curtains. The man says, there might be half a chance of me surviving if I hide behind the curtain. ഈ curtain ബാക്കിൽ ഒളിച്ചിരുന്ന എനിക്കൊരു ചെറിയൊരു ചാൻസ് ഉണ്ട് രക്ഷപ്പെടാൻ. And Raina says, shh, you should hide behind the curtain. Don't make any noise. And then before hiding, the man says that, shh, you have to remember something. Yes, what is it? And he says that 9 out of 10 soldiers are born fools. This is again സോൾജേഴ്സിനെ പറ്റി റൈനയുടെ മനസ്സിലുണ്ടായിരുന്ന ആ വലിയ ലോഫ്റ്റി ഐഡിയൽസ് ഓഫ് ഹീറോയിസം ആൻഡ് റൊമാൻറ്റിസിസം ഇറ്റ്സ് ഓൾ ബീങ് ഷാറ്റേർഡ് ബൈ ദിസ് enemy soldier who comes into her bedroom in the middle of the night. He is saying her things like soldiers are afraid to die and 9 out of 10 soldiers are fools. That means they don't care about their life. That's precisely the fact that they chose to become soldiers that says that they are fools. Now this is also quite shocking for Raina. Her romantic illusions are being shattered. So the man is hiding behind the curtains now. And he is again saying that if they find me, I'll promise you a fight. ഞാൻ വെറുതെ അങ്ങ് ചാവത്തൊന്നുമില്ല, എന്നെ കണ്ടുപിടിക്കുവാണെങ്കിൽ ഞാനും അമ്മാരെ വെട്ടും. Now she's getting a little impatient with him. She stamps at him. And before opening the door, what she does is she takes off her cloak. അതായത് ഇപ്പോൾ ഉറക്കത്തിൽ നിന്ന് എണീറ്റ് വന്നതേ ഉള്ളൂ എന്നുള്ളൊരു ഭാവത്തിൽ അത് കാണിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി ആയിരിക്കണം. ഓൾസോ മേ ബി ഷീ വാണ്ട്സ് ടു മേക്ക് ദ സോൾജേഴ്സ് എ ലിറ്റിൽ uncomfortable that they barged into the bed chamber of a lady, an upper class lady, and disturbed her sleep. Maybe for that reason she takes off her cloak and she puts it on the bed. And then she acts like she was very sleepy and disturbed, and then she opens the door. Now let's see what happens after Raina opens the door. One of those beasts of Serbs has been seen climbing up the water pipe to your balcony. Our men want to search for him, and they are so wild and drunk and furious. She makes for the other side of the room to get as far from the door as possible. My lady says you are to dress at once. Now she sees the revolver lying on the ottoman and she stops, petrified. Raina says, they shall not search here. Why have they been let in? Now Catherine enters, the mother. Raina, darling, are you safe? Have you seen anyone or heard anything? I heard the shooting. Surely the soldiers will not dare come in here. I have found a Russian officer, thank heaven. He knows Sergius. Sir, will you come in now? My daughter will receive you. Now a young Russian officer who is in a Bulgarian uniform enters. He has a sword in his hand. Bulgarian officer.
Good evening, gracious lady. I'm sorry to intrude, but there is a Serb hiding on the balcony. Will you and the gracious lady, your mother, please withdraw whilst we search?
Nonsense, sir. You can see that there is no one on the balcony. She throws the shutters wide open and stands with her back to the curtain where the man is hidden, pointing to the moonlit balcony. A couple of shots are fired right under the window, and a bullet shatters the glass opposite Raina, who winks and gasps but stands her ground, whilst Catherine screams and the officer, with a cry of "Take care!" rushes to the balcony.
Cease firing there, you fools! Do you hear? Cease firing, damn you! Would anyone have got in without your knowledge? Are you asleep?
No, I haven't. I have not been to bed.
Your neighbors have their heads so full of runaway Serbs that they see them everywhere. Gracious lady, a thousand pardons. Good night.
Now, with a military bow, he exits, and Catherine follows him outside. Now, Lauka, she's been in the room, she's been watching the scene very curiously. She has seen the pistol which was on the ottoman cushion. Now, she lingers a little bit, but Raina wants her out of the room. She says, "Don't leave my mother, Lauka, until the soldiers go away." Now, Lauka glances at Raina, at the ottoman, at the curtain, then purses her lips secretively, laughs insolently, and goes out. Raina, highly offended by this demonstration, follows her to the door and shuts it behind her with a slam, locking it violently. The man immediately steps out from behind the curtain, sheathing his saber. Then, dismissing the danger from his mind in a businesslike way, he comes affably to Raina. So, we have read you another portion of our Act 1. In the last part we read, there was some complication. The man entered Reina's room, a fugitive, an unknown man, clearly a Serbian artillery officer, by the look of his uniform and all. He threatens Reina, and he threatens that he would shoot her at first. Then he throws the revolver on the ottoman and grabs her fur cloak as a weapon. But then, when Lauka announces that the Bulgarian army has come in search for this particular fugitive, Raina feels sorry for him because he is not, after all, an unchivalrous person. He even gives her clock back. Now, Raina decides to hide this strange man in her room behind the curtains. Now, before opening the door, Raina takes off her cloak. That's what we read. This action actually seems a little strange coming from her. It might be to pretend that she was in bed till then and she just got up. She did not have time to wear the fur cloak, and also maybe to trick the Bulgarian army who might barge into the room, and they might feel ashamed at themselves that they came into the private room, a bed chamber of an upper class lady. So let's see what happens after Lauka comes into the room. So Lauka comes with the information that the neighbors saw a Serbian soldiers climbing up the water pipe to the balcony. So the Bulgarian army, we already learned all about them. Catherine actually described the Bulgarian army as they were celebrating their victory at Slivnica. So they are all drunk and angry. They just want to finish the deed, and now they are demanding that they have to enter the house to search for this Serbian soldier. Now, as Luca is exchanging this information to Raina, she suddenly sees the revolver lying on the ottoman. So this is very important. This is a very important piece of information. Before grabbing Raina's fur cloak, um, the man had thrown the revolver on the ottoman. Now, Lauka actually sees the revolver on the ottoman. Now, the dramatic complication is beginning to rise again. Things are getting very dramatic, and Lauka has seen the revolver. That means she is also aware of the secret. She becomes privy to the knowledge that the fugitive is hidden in the room by Raina. Now, Catherine also enters the scene. Catherine asks, first of all, what would a mother ask a daughter in the middle of a fusillade? She asks Raina if she is safe. Then she says that we don't have to worry because I have just found a Russian officer working in the Bulgarian army. He actually knows your father, so he will be coming in to search the room. Now, Catherine acts like she is not, she's outraged by that suggestion. അപ്പോൾ റൈനയ്ക്ക് ഇച്ചിരി ദേഷ്യമൊക്കെ വരുന്നു, ആരാ നമ്മുടെ റൂമിന് നമ്മുടെ വീടിനകത്ത് കയറി വരുന്ന ആരാ എന്നൊക്കെ. അപ്പോൾ എനിവേ കാത്രൻ ബ്രിങ്സ് ഇൻ ദ റഷ്യൻ ഓഫീസർ. സോ ഇൻ ദിസ് പാർട്ട് മൈ ഹസ്ബൻഡ് ആക്ച്വലി റെഡ് ദ പാർട്ട് ഓഫ് ദ റഷ്യൻ ഓഫീസർ. So the officer, he is very polite, and he has this military attitude about him. So he comes and wishes the ladies. He says, "Good evening, gracious lady. I'm really sorry that I have to intrude, but I got the information that a Serb is actually hiding in the balcony. So will you please go out of the room so that I can do a thorough search?" Now Raina becomes very rude. She says that nonsense. I won't step out of the room. And you can see that there is nobody in the balcony. She opens the door to the balcony, and he says that there are no soldiers or nobody in the balcony. But as she opens the door, what happens is some people shoot up from the street, because we already said the Bulgarian army is extremely drunk at this point. They just want to finish the deed and go back to merriment. They just want to enjoy their post battle phase. So they shoot. അവർ താഴെ നിന്ന് ഈ മുകളിലേക്ക് വെടിവെക്കും. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഒരു the bullet is actually it shatters the glass opposite Raina. She actually missed the bullet, but it could have hit her. Now the Russian officer becomes really angry. He shouts, "Take care! കുറച്ചുകൂടി സൂക്ഷിച്ചൊക്കെ ചെയ്യണ്ടേ, എന്തു അവിടെ?" എന്നൊക്കെ ചോദിക്കുന്നു. Then Russian says, "Cease firing there, you fools! You would have hit the lady. Do you hear? Cease firing." And then he again looks around the room for a minute. Then he asks Raina, "Do you think anybody might have got into the room without your knowledge? Were you sleeping? Somebody would have got into the room when you were sleeping." Now Raina says, "No, I was not sleeping. I was not asleep yet." Now the officer says, "This must be some cooked up information which your neighbor said." സോ ഇവരുടെ നെയ്ബറാണ് ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ കൊടുത്തത്, ഒരു സെർബിയൻ ഇവിടെ ഒളിച്ചിരിപ്പുണ്ടെന്നുള്ളത്. സോ ഹി സെസ്, "യുവർ നെയ്ബേഴ്സ് ഹാവ് ദ ഹെഡ്സ് സോ ഫുൾ ഓഫ് റൺ അവേ. They might have imagined somebody climbing up." So he says good night and he goes out. Raina closes the doors to the balcony, and when she turns, she sees that Lauka is watching the scene very curiously. The reason is Lauka already saw the revolver lying on the ottoman. Now she has suspicions about the presence of a man in the room. Now Raina wants to send Lauka out of the room. Catherine follows the officer. Now only Raina and Lauka are in the room, and then our hidden man is also there, but Lauka doesn't know that for certain now. And now Raina wants to send Lauka away, and she says, "Don't leave my mother, Lauka, until the soldiers go away." Now Lauka glances at Raina, at the ottoman, and at the curtain. ഈ മൂന്ന് സ്പോട്ടിലായിട്ട് മാറി മാറി നോക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ഷീ ഗ്ലാൻസസ് അറ്റ് റൈന, ottoman and the curtain. She clearly comes to the understanding that Raina has hidden a man behind the curtains. And then she passes a really weird smile. ഒരു കള്ളച്ചിരിയൊക്കെ ആയിട്ട് കുറച്ച് റൂഡായിട്ട് പുറത്തേക്ക് ഇറങ്ങി പോകും. And Raina is actually angry at this reaction of Lauka. Because Raina is aware that Lauka is just a maid. Why doesn't she give me the respect due to the mistress of the household? I am, after all, the daughter of the owner of the household. Why doesn't a common maid like Lauka give me enough respect? So Raina gets angry, and Raina slams the window, the door very violently, and the man immediately steps out from behind the curtain. And all this while he was actually holding his sword out, so that if he was discovered, he could attack whoever was in front of him. Then he sheaths the saber എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു തരത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു വാളായിരുന്നു ഇദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ കയ്യിലിരുന്നത്. അത് പുള്ളി ഉറയിലേക്ക് തിരിച്ചിട്ടു. Then finally he is relieved that the danger is now gone. For now the danger is gone. So let's stop this class at this dramatic moment when Raina saves the soldier, because she feels sorry for him. Even though the soldier shatters her illusions about war and soldiers and the heroism and patriotism and how soldiers are ready to embrace death at any point of time, she still feels sorry for the stranger. She feels for the first time that soldiers are also human beings. So let's stop here for this class, and I'll pick it up from this point in the next video. I hope you really enjoyed listening to me in this manner, and I hope this was extremely beneficial for you. Thank you so much for your attention. Have a good day. Bye.